on my end for him as a filmmaker. And then I'd worked with a number of actors who had worked with Ridley and who had said to me, you know, you guys would get along, you should work together. So Ridley and I met up and just talked a little bit and said, let's find something. And I think that was about 4 years or 5 years ago. And then he turned up and said, yeah, I've got something. And he said, it's Moses. I went, he said, no. I was like, swords and sandals? He's like, yeah. I was like, just straight up Moses. He said, yes. Okay, all right.
And what were the early conversations that the two of you had? Did he talk about the scale? What did he talk about that he wanted to bring to it?
You know, the biggest issue was about how much you could include, because it's so dense. You really could make, you know, an 8-hour-long film, and so there had to be a choice about how far we went with the story. And you know, it's called Exodus for a reason. It's not called Moses. And we, Steve Zalian, who wrote the screenplay, you know, really felt that it was a story of revolution. And so, you know, deciding just to focus up to and through the Exodus. You know, I'm sure you can see there we went through the crossing of the Red Sea. But then it was very tricky to decide, well, how much further can we go here? Because every little bit that you thought, well, you can't not include that, would have added another half an hour to the film. So there was always sort of regret, but you can't help that, of what you unfortunately just cannot include I'm not sure how long the film is, but 2 hours or whatever.
You say it's not called Moses. There was a project called Moses. It was a TV movie 20 years ago, and the guy who played Moses was Ben Kingsley.
Yes, right.
So in the moments where the two of you were acting opposite each other, did that come up?
Yes, I said, oh, you know, you've played Moses. I'm sorry, I've not seen it. And he just laughed, and, because I'd sort of avoided, other than, all right, the very first films, and Ben Kingsley's one of my favourite actors. Part of the reason I didn't watch it is because there's times when it's a wonderful thing to steal from other people. And I don't sort of say I was inspired by it, just go, you're stealing from them, you know. But then, you know, there's other moments where you go, wow, I'll probably end up taking so much that, no, that's not a good idea. I have my own idea, let's stick to that. But the very first film that I rented immediately after a meeting with Ridley, and whilst I was still trying to get my head wrapped around it and thinking, is this even something that could be possible, I went and rented The Life of Brian. Which is a real favourite film of mine, and a beautifully made film, wonderful film. But the point being that not only do I enjoy that film a great deal, but that anything where you are approaching it from a very earnest point of view can unintentionally become The Life of Brian very quickly. So it was sort of a guiding light throughout for me. You know, and I must confess, always look on the bright side of life was kind of always humming through my head an awful lot. And then immediately after that, I rented Mel Brooks' History of the World. You know, he comes down, he says, we've got 15 commandments, he drops one and says, oh, we've got 10 commandments. And you know, because you sort of have to get that out of your system, and you have to understand what is it that we could unintentionally make funny, and you have to have humour with something that is as earnest as this, and as heavyweight as this. You have to have an element of comedy in your everyday life during filming, because otherwise it just becomes too exhausting.
Sounds like the most fun prep ever to watch these movies. Did you rewatch 10 Commandments, or did you rely on your past?
No, yes, I did. I did rewatch 10 Commandments, and you know, the thing that the main difference I looked at is, you know, you can't out Heston Charlton Heston, right? There's no point in trying to do that. But that in my reading from looking at the 5 books. Was that this was an incredible weight that he was lifting on his shoulders. That this should be something where you see a man who really is straining, and you know, that is of his nature. He fought very much against being chosen by God. He kept on saying, no, it's not me, it's not me. He kept on trying to get out of the gig when he was on the mountain. And it was something that was, you know, I mean, you can imagine, this is not an easy job. And I felt that with the Ten Commandments, it was very much sort of an uplifting doves and, you know, and like he was, you know, the sort of the Moses, and that was sort of flying almost, like he was going to levitate through the scenes and everything. And I felt like Al should be someone that is kind of just desperately trying to keep moving forward because of the just enormous pressure that this is on him.
Was it nice to finish the process in the hair and makeup trailer and look at yourself in the mirror and think, wow, I actually look attractive after American Hustle?
We were very, you know, when I was making